Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. It's official. Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte confirmed Wembley Stadium the 23rd of April. That has been announced, all locked in. So I guess that will make some people happy who were doubtful it would go ahead, even despite contracts recently being signed. So you can see here on screen the press release which has been issued by Top Rank. After 5 years, I'm still trying to get on the Queensbury press release list. I will persist and try to get on it. I've sent another email. But Top Rank says April 23, heavyweight titans Fury and Whyte collide at Wembley Stadium. Then goes on to say that obviously it's going to be on pay-per-view, Wembley Stadium. March the 2nd is when tickets go on sale. So we'll get down to the press release proper. After storming the United States with a pair of knockouts over Deontay Wilder, WBC Lineal Ring Magazine heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury returns home for an all-British battle against WBC interim champion Dillian Whyte on Saturday, April 23 at London's Wembley Stadium, connected by EE. Not sure what that is. Someone can probably tell me in the comments. Fury Whyte will be broadcast live on pay-per-view in the US. No surprise there. Record purse of $41 million, purse bid, I should say, that was in place. So the fighters' wages there, $41 million. So you're going to need to have it on pay-per-view and for it to do well, not just in the United Kingdom, where I think it will sell well, but they'll need a decent amount of pay-per-views in the US to help obviously pay off that sum that they have to pay the fighters. So we'll just cut down to Frank Warren's comments where he says, Tyson Fury coming home to fight at the Arch at Wembley Stadium is a fitting reward for the number one heavyweight in the world following his exploits across the Atlantic in his epic trilogy against Deontay Wilder. The fact that this mandatory defense of his WBC title comes against another Brit only adds to the occasion. They are two of the biggest characters in British sport and both normally have plenty to say for themselves. It's going to be an incredible night and a huge occasion for sport in this country that will capture the imagination of fans right across the world. Well, here's hoping. This is a big fight. It's a meaningful fight in the heavyweight division and obviously long talked about, so we're finally going to get it. So Bob Arum, who co-promotes Tyson Fury, obviously chairman of Top Rank and founder, says Tyson Fury conquered America, and it's only fitting that he defends the heavyweight championship in a packed Wembley Stadium. Dillian Whyte has called for this fight for years, and while he is a deserving challenger, no heavyweight can match the Gypsy King. This is going to be a momentous night of boxing with tens of thousands of fans in attendance at Wembley Stadium. So obviously heading into this one, Tyson Fury 31-0 with one draw, that one draw being against Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte being 28-2, losses to Anthony Joshua and Alexander Povetkin in recent years, but obviously getting that WBC interim status, champion status back in his rematch with Povetkin at near the end of, was it mid last year? Escapes me just thinking about it on the fly here, but anyway, I like this fight. We don't need to dwell on the past. This is a fight that has been confirmed. And when you consider we're already at the end of February, essentially, there's not much locked in for the heavyweight schedule to mid-year. We've got talks about the rematch for Usyk and Joshua. Who knows what will happen given Usyk and the Ukrainian situation right now. That could maybe delay things. Who knows? But apart from Fury Whyte, which is a great fight in its own right, you've got Bacoli and Yoka, and not much else. You've got a number of names looking for fights, looking to get back in the ring soon. Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora. There's others who are looking for meaningful fights, Otto Wallin. But at the moment, the schedule rather light. So this is one of the few sort of beacons of light in the heavyweight division. And I like the fight. And I think it could be very different from those fights with Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte is a different fighter to Wilder, a bit smaller, fights a bit different. Obviously, he's got a few different tools that he will look to use against Fury than Deontay Wilder, who's essentially a right hand, a bit of speed and quickness, but really a little bit basic as well. Whyte as well can sometimes come across as basic, especially against a guy who can move. But what sort of Fury are we going to see? And that's the question. Because the Fury that previously beat Derek Chisora, and I guess you can kind of say, and this has been a comparison people have made, is Dillian Whyte the sort of next version of Derek Chisora in terms of tough, durable, comes to fight, dangerous. Is he that sort of second coming of a Chisora? Tyson Fury took care of Chisora pretty handily enough a number of years ago, but it was a different Fury. It was a Fury who generally sort of relied on his boxing skills, pumped that jab out, really used his physical attributes and the height and the reach. This more recent version of Fury we've seen against Deontay Wilder, mixing in more of the Kronk style, and is something that his trainer Sugar Hill Stewart wants to continue doing. We could see a different version of Fury, and it is an older version of Fury compared to the one that, did sort of dance around earlier in his career, that was labelled as feather-fisted, but people found it hard to, when he was working with his uncle Peter Fury, to really lay a glove on him. You've seen Deontay Wilder drop him even in that third fight. So if Tyson Fury's fighting a different style and he's maybe a little bit older, maybe he can't maintain some of what he used to do in terms of movement, maybe it's a bit more of an even fight than some people are saying. I do make Tyson Fury obviously a favourite for good reason. I think we've got the form guide here, and I think there is the potential that it could look somewhat similar to Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora 2, Tyson Fury jabbing Dillian Whyte's head off, but at the same time Dillian Whyte is tough, he's durable. If he can land one of those sort of catch and shoots, drop Tyson Fury either to the body, left hook, we could see that body and head. I think it's dangerous just to write this off. Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte is one of these top 10 fights. Whyte generally regarded as fourth to sixth best heavyweight, somewhere there or thereabouts, depending on what people are feeling like on the day, who their favourite fighter is, etc. Tyson Fury either consensus number one, if not number one, number two, because some people have Usyk as number one. But it's a very good fight. A very good fight for the heavyweight division, and I'm excited for it. I don't know if the build-up's going to be what Frank Warren sort of thinks it will be, because he's talked about, obviously, these guys, blockbuster, build-up, be great, capture the imagination of the world, yada, yada, yada. That's only if Dillian Whyte really gets involved in the promotion, that he starts, firing off and getting mouthy. We've seen him basically disengage. And this has been in this process, right up until leading to him signing the contract. Not saying much publicly, and I think that does have the potential to irk Tyson Fury, give him a little bit of motivation. And is that something you want to do, to give him something extra added to try to dish out and mete out on fight night? But I think Dillian Whyte, obviously he's not happy about the money, the 20% cut, and actually if he loses he will get less than 20%, because the WBC has put 10% of that $41 million aside. That goes to the winner. So Whyte could end up, if he loses, getting 15%. Obviously he's got some arbitration with the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That's due to start that action next month. Maybe that's a case that sort of situation doesn't resolve even before the fight. I don't know. We'll have to sort of see. You can never really tell with these things. You don't get a timeline. But we do have a timeline for the fight, 23rd of April. I'm looking forward to it. More on this in the weeks ahead. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.